Okay, I'm going to go through P6-7 again with the top-down strategy. Number one rule for top-down is save the assembly right away. Do I follow it all of the time? No. Do I have to go in and rename? Yeah, some of the time. So, new assembly. I've already created my updated project folder. And the advantage here is that we're going to be able to make quite a few components, manage subassemblies, um, do all of the geometry, and tie it together in a way that uh, creates that associativity and gives us a lot more flexibility. So I'm not a fan of tying components together. In the solid body I did, but that's not my my first choice. So pressure, see if I can spell pressure cylinder, and not going to worry about the designation. So pressure cylinder assembly. If I don't, and it goes to assembly one, all of the associativity, all of the in context components are going to be tied to assembly one, and then we have to go find assembly one, right click on it out of File Explorer, go to the Solidworks, rename so that it updates all of the connections. All right, so I have my pressure cylinder. One thing about the sketches, I'm going to sketch my geometry. This time I'm going to do them as revolves, and we'll just put in a top view for the whole locations. But the one of the issues is going to be that in the assembly, if you sketch and then you insert, make new parts, new components, will be that you are going to have the sketches separated, one at the top, one at the bottom. Not a big deal, but you have to be aware of what's going on. So since this is sort of going to be a revolve, or I'm thinking in terms of it being a revolve, I'm going to go ahead and build the geometry in. And I think I'm going to do a whole wizard for both of these, so we'll just go ahead and close it off. All right, so this goes to, oh, got an extra dot in there. And since I am in inches, I'm going to type in the 100 mm. And we're going to switch over to millimeters, grams, and seconds. Just like in the part, it kicks me out of the sketch, makes the adjustment. And then let's see what, oh, I did put in a separate section there. Okay, well, we'll go ahead with deleting it and moving it. And then the height of 65 and the ID is 60. Okay. Then for our gasket, I'm just going to add on. And then for the cover, I'm going to add on. And I'm not a fan of overlapping geometries, so I'm doing more of a connect the dot than I am trying to do rectangles and end up with geometries that may be duplicates. All right, so there's my profile. That's all of my geometry for this piece. So we're going to do the layout, and then to illustrate, normally I go ahead and do the whole pattern, but to illustrate where the sketches line up, we'll go ahead and bring in our first component. So we are in an assembly. We have no components. When I go insert a component, or when I start some of them, if it's checked, it's going to go select your first component. We're just going to exit out of that if you get it. And I am going to insert components, new part. And it's asking for a location. Whatever, if you pick one of these, that will become the front plane of the part, and that isn't always convenient. I like to leave the planes aligned to the assembly and work from there. So renaming this, we can go to the base, and notice that it's in brackets. It does not exist outside of this assembly. It's an internal, which is handy that after I've built all my components before I make these external, if I decide to change the naming, it's no big deal. I just update the name inside of the assembly, and it follows it from there. So instead of opening the part, I'm going to edit the part. It goes to blue. If there was other parts, or as we'll see in a minute, it would switch to transparent, the pieces that we're not using. So if I go in and I select the chain, it grabbed everything, but let's go ahead and convert the entities, and we'll accept. Oh, I did not. Well, we could go ahead and make the revolve. So feature revolve, I just have to select the axis of revolution. Instead of it finding the center line, we create our geometry. So we'll go to the whole wizard. Notice that the edit component and everything, no external references, everything shifts. We want the external references. That we're tying these together. If something changes, I'm going to change the layout sketch. I'm not going to be looking in the parts for geometry. So we're still in the M24x3 from the last. So we'll go ahead and place and accept. And then once I accept this, I would like to have the sketch, but I really just want everything pointed back to the assembly. So to be on the safe side, I'm going to go, well, let's go ahead and hide just for cleanup. And we'll open up a sketch on the top plane. And I'll put in my 75 millimeter bolt circle. It'll let me, there it goes. See, I'd move far enough away from it. And then this is going to switch to, so I don't really need the other geometry. And we'll go to the points. And we're going to circular sketch pattern, total of 8. And accept. All right, so cannot drag the item. So by dragging that one, it kind of snapped to the origin, and by trying to drag that one, it kind of snapped to the bolt circle. So it a little strange. So this is going to be my bolt circle. And notice it is below the mates. So there is a possibility you will have sketches above and sketches below. So we're going to go back and show. And if I go from this point, and I don't know that this is a good place to introduce the whole series. We'll save that one. Whole series would be I would build the geometry and then let the whole series find the components and do the stack out of one set of features and have it populate back. But we're already confusing things enough for having enough with dealing with our geometry. So I need to either right-click on the part and edit the part, or come over here and edit the component. So that it turns blue. If I don't see that blue, I am not in the right place. All right, so over to the features, into the whole wizard, and we are looking for metric bottoming tap, but we want to go back up to the M8 by 1.25. And the blind in condition, well, I guess the part is now set to metric, so our defaults are all set to inches, and I'm working in metric. All right, so we want 17 millimeters on the thread. Let's double check. So worst case, 17 millimeters. I don't have that one memorized. We know that oh. And we gave it an extra, so let's go 22 millimeters, and then we'll go to the positions, and we can pick those positions. So since I pre-selected, I'm not seeing the sketch. Maybe we'll try that on the gasket and see if it cooperates. All right, so there's our first component, and we can go ahead and hit OK. Now I don't want anything tied to this, so kind of like in the multi-body, I'm just going to hide the component. And if we rebuild, that'll clean that up. So same process, new part, make sure to check out somewhere. And then we're going to go to the, call this the gasket. So it's just a single click and another single click. So highlight it. The second single click changes, goes into the name. I'm going to edit the part. I don't think I'll convert. Oh, I guess it would help to pick the plane. And I prefer the front plane or the planes inside of the part, even though they're aligned or associated to the assembly. It's one less, maybe one less external reference that we don't necessarily have to deal with. All right, so I just converted the center line. And when you convert a center line, it comes in as an object, and then we're going to take the object and change it over to an actual center line. So let's go ahead and revolve, accept, and then I'm going to try the whole wizard. And we are doing a clearance. So this is going to be, I'm just going to go drill sizes on this one because I said I wanted it a little on the close side. So if we go 8.4 when it smushes, as the threads collapse, as it smushes the gasket, it's going to also tie it to the threads. So existing 2D sketch used for an assembly feature because it does not belong to the assembly. Okay, so that would probably work with the other bit. We'll go to Control 5. 2D sketch. So is it going to let me out of that is the question. All right, so since we just click back and forth and we pick our new locations, make sure that I'm getting those to coincident. And I always see that little green check mark on the right mouse button, and sometimes I hit it by accident, but if I hit it when I intend to, that will complete the whole wizard and give us our geometry. All right, so same thing, we can hide. And we're going to bring in one more new part. Make the check, single click, cover. And on the cover, we'll edit the part. And from the front plane again, go into the sketch. We'll just go ahead and revolve around that one. Revolve boss base. And for this whole wizard, then we're going to do the metric, but switch it to clearances so that when it switches over to, that'll go up to the 9 millimeter. Okay, it's calling it diameter of 10, but 10 is really a lot of positional. That's going to allow that to float around. I mean, if I was drilling it by hand, maybe we would do that. Notice also that we don't get the feature scope with these. So, all right, so let's go into the positions. And accept, and we now have our pressure cylinder. So it's always going to ask save internally. If I'm doing this a lot, I'll tell it not to show again, but it is a nice reminder that we're saving internally, and then we want to show. So at this stage, there's not a secondary save bodies or anything. The parts are just there. They're all internal. And let's go ahead and hide the sketch. And now for the toolbox, or if we brought in the McMaster component, all of those would be fine. So we want to find our ANSI metric and the bolts and screws, the hex head, and I don't know if I still have, no, I don't have the McMaster up. I was going to look and see which standard it called out. Now let's see which one we get. All right, so it puts that one in there, M8, and it is not a length of 30, but that particular configure has a minimum length of 40, so probably not that one. Let's go one more. And that looked like it got off a little bit to the side. All right, so by 30. And we'll place those. Okay, so they do rotate, and if it's a problem or we want to adjust for it, we would do kind of the same thing, go and expand out the mates. Since there should only be mates for the concentric, then we can right-click and lock rotation. All right, so one of the things that I didn't do for the multi-body, but works just as well, if something were to go through, and I go back to that original sketch and I change something to 100 and we rebuild, it makes the adjustment. We go find the bolt circle sketch. Let's see, did that... and I adjust that up to 85 millimeters, so it puts a little bit further out. We see everything shift. When it rebuilds, it changes the gasket. Let's do a tab. Changes the gasket, changes the bolts. It updates everything, so that's the fast part of it. All right, so miss the M24. We can go back and edit the part. And notice everything's going to transparency when it is shown. So we want to pick the hole wizard. We are in the threads, and we're looking for that M24 by 3. And up to next is fine. Position it, hit OK, accept, and we'll just go back and hide the sketch. All right, so I think we'll stay with the 65 so I don't confuse myself later why I did that, other than to demonstrate everything updates, everything shifts position. It would do pretty much the same thing with the mates of individual components, but as this gets more complex, as I go into multiple parts and I start to make those alignments and those adjustments, the value comes into play. All right, so for our exploded view, let's see if we can pick these out of the flyaway. So let's start at the bottom and go to select a component, not the assembly itself. So let's just go through the list. So I can pick from the list, and I think that got everything. And with the auto spacing, well, I would have preferred the bolts go first, but no, probably not that way. Hey, there we go. All right, so yeah, it doesn't look too bad. So 61 millimeters, maybe go 75, and we'll stretch it out just a little bit more. Okay, so that looks reasonable, and we'll save it for our exploded view. Okay, we're ready for the drawing, and I think we have everything we need. So make drawing from assembly. Pick the template of your choice. We're going to pull the isometric exploded, pull in the tables for the bill of materials. And I really should go ahead and I'll see what the simple looks like because I've saved that one before too. All right, so we haven't generated any part numbers. The materials, no, I didn't apply the materials. So one advantage, and it's kind of a when you realize or when you need to apply the materials, it's not too bad to go back after and just apply them all out of the assembly. So I've been talking about the search. So if we do Neo, there's the neoprene, and we can apply it and hit OK. Make sure that that saves. I don't think that bill of materials, that simple, had it in it, but if we did change or add the materials, now they would show up, or at the very least they'll show up when we switch over to the parts. All right, so the annotation, auto balloon, let's line everything up to the left side. Okay, not really liking where that one landed, so we'll just bring it back over here. Okay, didn't get any question marks, so that's good. And the names, because they're still internal, notice that the names, that was what I was trying to get it to do, are with the caret, the upward arrow, are still tied to the pressure cylinder. So I can do everything out of this assembly if I want to, but probably not going to be a best practice. So let's go ahead and bring in, and it aligned again, lined to the part that time, but I think I'll leave it. All right, so we're going to save that. I can save as the pressure cylinder. And when we go back and I save one more time, save all, that didn't do it that time. All right, well, that's okay because we're just going to right click and save part in external file, even though I'm pretty sure it's going where I just, out of habit, same as assembly, hit OK. And now the brackets disappear. And we'll save it one more time. And when we come back over, and let's see, Control Q, rebuilds, notice now we've lost the reference, the external reference or the internal reference to the pressure cylinder assembly file. So if we go into those files and add part numbers, we already have the materials. We would then be able to now go pick individually, where before we would have to, actually I don't think I've ever done that or had to do that with the individual components. We always just export them to get the result. Okay, so I know I want that section view. And this time, I do want to see if I can pick up that center point still. No, still not finding it. All right, so just keep in mind that we can always go in, draw a center line, pull the 45 degrees up. I think I hit a little too close. Now let's go into the annotation. We'll check the whole callouts 8 times and 1 time. Still like the center circle, so we'll place that. For construction, go ahead and set it to center, hit OK, and we're ready to add a few more dimensions. And of course, oh, I didn't change that one back, but oh well. we'll update it, and we'll look for the changes in the other parts. All right, so under the drawing section view, still vertical. Haven't found any that need that that slice or that the angle or the other selections. So usually we go horizontal, vertical, and call it good. And my my video card is not catching up, so I'm going to do the place the dimension. Control Q has been getting it set up. All right, so if you get the warning that your video card is not not one of the approved, it just goes to show it still works, but there's going to be some strange results off and on. All right, so the next we'll go to the ellipse, pick our cover, open. The bottom, we should be able to, or the cover, we should be able to get all of those in one shot. And I'll just go ahead and place that in. And we're just going to run through the entire process one more time, centers. And that's one that I need to add to my template, is since my center lines aren't coming in. But again, if it bugs me enough, I'll do the filter for center lines, change the layer over to the correct, and let it go from there. So that one, that was the dimension. So let's go to the whole call out. So that one actually pulled the instance count of 8 times, where the other one in the multi-body had that separation. Thing of note is the smaller X, and they're minor details, but they're things that will help you later on to recognize kind of what's going on in the system. Now let's go ahead and put that one in, and then we can reposition those a bit. And that looks pretty good. We've got our drawing, got our geometry, maybe a little bit faster, but now that I've done it twice or 3 times, the main thing is that in the bottom-up assembly, generating each part and adding them to the assembly, if I needed to change that to 85, I would have to open 3 parts, make the change 3 times, and make sure that it updated properly in the drawings. So there are some advantages, but anything that anybody ever tells you is faster also comes with the warning that there is probably a higher level and higher level errors that may come with it. So just practice and figure out the best strategies that will work for you.